Welcome back, guys. It is the final week of the bodybuilding series, my prep to becoming a pro. So this is peak week. This is the final week of my show. Obviously, I'm recording this post show because it's just been so busy. Just busy trying to get things done. Now that I have time, I have my energy back. I'm just ready to go. So that's the reason why my energy in general is higher on this video in comparison to the last couple videos. So I hope you bear with me. If this energy is too much, this channel might not be for you because my energy is only going to increase from this point on. But let's get into it. Let's talk about peak week. Let's talk about the day of the show, and even the day after the show we talk about a little bit, and all the things leading up to it, the day. So I got my notes obviously right here because there's way too much for me to remember. So let's get into it. So this overall prep has been really good. I felt tired and lethargic, but in comparison to other preps, I wasn't as bad because my calories weren't as low. My first prep, I was obviously not as muscular. I had, more than the average person to think that, all right, maybe I should go do a bodybuilding show, do men's physique. But not to the point where I ever got down to like single body fat percentage, single number body fat percentage. So I had to do a lot of things. I was in ketosis for a long time. For those of you who don't know what ketosis means, I did keto, essentially where I only had 50 grams of carbs. I only had around like 60 to 70 grams of fat. And honestly, I don't think I had enough protein. I think I had like well above 200, but for the amount of calories that was allotted for fats and carbs, I probably needed way more protein. So hindsight, it was pretty bad. I was doing like an hour of cardio in the beginning, and then it worked my way up to 2 hours of cardio every single day, morning and night. So I was miserable during that prep. I remember, and I was in college at the time, it was so hard for me to focus. I remember the day before my show, I had to submit a paper, and I had to email my professor and was like, hey, I can't do this right now. I'm water depleting and I'm staring at the screen, and the screen is literally blurring out. I can't focus right now. The second prep was a little better. I was obviously more muscle bound, but even then, like my coach, Jeremy, asked me to do a couple of things that I absolutely despise, and no snide remark against him. It was just his method, and his method was boiling chicken. And the reason why you do that is because you want to get all the sodium out, you want to get all the fat out. So basically, you just have a lifeless, flavorless chicken breast at the end of the day. And I would just get little trivial amounts of mustard and hot sauce to make it, get it down. And I would drink lots of water just so I could swallow. But yeah, so this prep in comparison to those preps was far better, and a lot of it is probably due to the fact that I was in complete control. I had the knowledge, I had better knowledge than I did in the past because I had coaches in the past, I had friends helping me, and this time I had all that knowledge and experience, and I could just put all that to myself, use it all by myself, and not have any other chefs in the kitchen. So yeah, and I think another reason why my energy was high is because I kept caffeine really high, and I abused it. I'm not gonna lie, I've said that in the other videos before, but I kept my caffeine really high. I had energy drinks up until the last 4 days of my show, leading up to my show. So I believe Wednesday is when I cut it completely, because that's when I was beginning to start water depleting. I only had, I think I had I had a half a gallon on Wednesday. Thursday, I allowed myself about something like 30 ounces, I think, or around 30 ounces. And then Friday, basically just sipping on water because that was check-in day. And then Saturday, obviously no water at all. I chewed on ice, basically. About 1.5 weeks out, I truly cut out sodium, so I wasn't seasoning anything. I had like some dressing for like my salad. A big thing that I'll do the last couple weeks of my show, for my bodybuilding shows, I'll get like lettuce greens, I'll get iceberg lettuce, I'll get radicchio. I still want nutrients in my diet, so I got types of lettuce that actually had nutrients in it. So things that have color, darker leafy greens, not just iceberg lettuce that just basically is water. So I cut out sodium a week and a half out. And the reason why I did this is just, again, I mentioned this before, you want to make sure that you're not retaining water. And once you start cutting water, you don't want to be having that contradictory force of sodium, which is trying to make you hold on to water. I didn't want to have that effect going on. On Thursday night, morning, I decided to drop off the baby boy. I dropped off Mochi. And then we were on our way to the Airbnb that Nicole found for us. It was a nice, approximately 400 square foot apartment. So I know it's small, but it was really nice. It was a modern look. It was right in the heart of Chattanooga. They had a bath, shower, a mini fridge, and a kitchenette. So I cooked steak there because leading up into my shows, I like to have steak, and I'll get into that in a second. We loved everything about the Airbnb. It was nice. The actual Airbnb itself, it was really great. And like I said, it was in the heart of Chattanooga, in the apartment complex. Pretty much we can walk anywhere and be within like a restaurant or like a store, a shopping store, within a couple of minutes just walking. So again, after we dropped off all of our stuff at the Airbnb, I decided that day that I was going to start carb cycling. So we're talking about Thursday night. It was 3 days, Thursday. Yeah, so it was approximately 3 days from my show, Saturday being the show. Typically most competitors will start like the day before. Other people, really depending on how you do your show, if you come like a week and a half or 2 weeks ahead of time, like ready before the show, that's pretty much ideal, because then you can kind of bring yourself to isocaloric calories, get yourself to maintenance calories, make yourself feel alive again, and then start toying with your physique so that you can come into the show the best way possible. So one of the things I really want to do for the next show is that I want to be like a week out and already ready, and I can just manipulate my carbs, my water, my sodium to the best of my abilities so that I can step on stage feeling good, feeling ready. Yes, obviously being tired because it's a lot on your body still, but still being ready. The reason why I'm saying I wasn't ready is because I had a cut up until the show. So I was low carbing it up until Wednesday night, and then Thursday night, like I said, I decided to start carb loading for the show. You want to start filling your glycogen stores, filling up your muscles with glycogen, so that you look full and hard on stage, but not too full where you look like bloated. So Nicole did some, for lack of better words, piss poor research, and she found us a sushi/Chinese restaurant, which I would never trust for the most part a fusion Asian restaurant, because typically a fusion restaurant means that they are only mediocre at everything and they're not really good at one thing. I'd rather go to a Japanese restaurant that is good at Japanese food than go to a fusion place or like, a mixed restaurant that has like a different assortment, because typically that means that they're just kind of okay at everything. So we walk into this place. First of all, it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock in the afternoon and no one's there. So we're like, this is not a good sign. We go in there. They don't speak English very well, which is fine. I don't care. But it was kind of like a language barrier. So when we were ordering food, I had to be so specific with my order. I wanted just nigiri. Nigiri, for those of you who don't know about sushi, it's just sushi grade fish with sushi grade rice, and that's it. And I love that. I can get down with that, but it's not as much flavor as getting like, a specialty roll with mayo and like soy sauce and it's stuffed to the brim. It's got, crumbs, crunch on it, and it's got, XYZ. It's not super flavorful, but it still tastes really good, especially for a guy that's been cutting for a long time. So I had to make sure I ordered the most specific thing. I wanted just white tuna and maybe red tuna, and that's it, because I wanted low fat, just carbs and protein. And they didn't quite understand. I got the Sushi Delight order, which is supposed to be, I think, like white tuna, California, red tuna, salmon, and that's it. And then there's like 3 of each one of those pieces. So I got 2 orders of the Sushi Delight. And I just didn't have all of it because the California roll is not really necessary. And plus it's imitation crab inside a California roll. So I didn't want to have too much of that because that can easily bloat you. Anything that's processed can bloat you a decent amount, I find. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest experience. Once we finished our order too, they were like, "Oh, so you're leaving now, right?" They literally said, "You're taking out." And we're like, "No, we're gonna stay here. We want to dine here." And they're like, "Okay." And it was almost like weird that we asked to dine. And then when we sat down, they gave us our appetizer. They gave us our starters, that came with our meal. And it's, the typical thing that most restaurants, especially Japanese restaurants, do. They'll give you like a ginger salad with carrots and cucumber and ginger dressing. And they gave it to us in styrofoam takeaway cups because they were expecting us to leave. Yeah, and then of course Nicole's food was okay. She got the specialty rolls while I got the nigiri, and the specialty roll, she didn't realize she got a tempura roll. Which, side note, if you guys ever go to all you can eat, don't order a bunch of tempura rolls. You're being a fool. If you want to get unless you like it, don't get me wrong, but like if you want like the best bang for your buck and you want to eat as much sushi, like specialty sushi as possible, getting tempura rolls are just going to basically, you're paying the house because the house is winning, the restaurant's winning because the tempura fills you up. But anyway, she got tempura roll with shrimp, and they gave you like this much shrimp. I'm not kidding you. Like it was basically all tempura, all fried, and rice and like cucumber and like this much shrimp for the entire roll. So it was a whole debacle. It was a disappointment for me. But you know, I still kind of enjoyed my sushi. My sushi nigiri, it's really hard to mess up. The only way you can mess up nigiri basically is if you have poor quality fish. And my fish was fine. I didn't feel, disgusted. I didn't feel sick afterwards. And I don't remember the name of the place, but I wouldn't recommend it. So after that, we went back to our Airbnb and we started putting on the first layer of tan. So this prep, in comparison to my other preps, we actually did a self-tanning kit. So my other two preps, the first prep I showed up to the bodybuilding show, and there's always not always, I'm pretty sure there's typically there's a tanning company there, and they tan you on there into spray tan. Second time around, I made sure to get spray tan by myself in advance. And the second tan wasn't the greatest. Wherever I went, they just gave me a very light coat, and it wasn't the greatest. It didn't look all that great. I looked like a Loompa Loompa. And the first time whoever did my first show did an excellent job. I looked great. And then the third show, we did Pro Tan, which is a professional tanning company for bodybuilders in particular. I don't know if they do regular tanning solutions, but you know, you can either spray it on yourself, or the better way is to actually, they provides you pads for you to massage, for yourself or someone else to massage it into your skin. So Nicole helped me do that. We were going to get clips of that, but I was butt naked. So to save your pain of seeing me not only lifeless but naked, because that would get me banned, right? We didn't post that, but 3 layers, or almost technically 4 layers, because there's a final coat right before you step on stage. 3 layers of this. So the first layer went on Thursday night after we went to the sushi restaurant, and it was a decent. It was a decent solution. I think it was really good, but the only problem, hindsight, is that after I got on stage, I realized that I looked more orange than almost anyone else. And we also did my face, and I'm recognizing a lot of people, even in the professional realm, I don't think a lot of people do their actual face. What they do, they just put makeup on. They'll just put a very light amount of makeup on so that you don't look weird in the face. And I looked kind of strange. So it makes it look more natural, right? So, and a lot of, especially the females, none of the females do tanning on their face because it makes you look weird. So lesson learned. I think what we'll do is that we'll still go pro tan next time and do it ourselves, unless we have a tanning company that's nearby, that's really good and reputable. We'll probably do pro tan again, just do one less coat, and I think that will actually make me look really natural on stage. And also I need to bring more clothes that are tanning friendly, because I destroyed like 2 pairs of clothing wearing this stuff on for the show. So next morning I showered, got some of the stuff off, because that's part of the protocol. After you put this stuff on, the next morning you want to shower it off. And then I continued to carb load. So my main carb load was salt-free rice cakes with sugar-free jelly, and steak. And like I said, the reason why, now in full circle, the reason why I'm bringing up steak, and the reason why I do steak, is because, again, it has like a filling effect. Steak has the highest level of creatine in almost any other meat. Every meat has a bit of creatine in it. So I always laugh whenever, like, you hear I hear clients say, "Oh, what about creatine? Is creatine safe?" Or especially people in their 40s and above, they're like, "Oh, creatine, oh, is that like a drug?" No, it's not. It's naturally made in the body, and you can eat it, you can ingest it via your meat, and all meat has creatine in it. So steak has the highest amount. So the reason why you want to have that is because it funnels all the nutrients and all the water that's left over in your body into your muscles. So as I'm water depleting, any water left over, I'm directly feeding it into my muscle. I'm trying to eat steak so that the creatine can then funnel blood into the muscles when I do get on stage. So that's the reason why I choose steak. And again, I know that kind of sounds contradictory because of you're cutting water, but at the same time, like you're trying to find that sweet balance between looking really hard and lean and vascular on the stage, which that comes through water depletion. That comes from being low enough body fat, right? There's some genetics involved. But the creatine is almost, it does the exact opposite. It's like, it's funneling water into your muscles. So it's kind of filling them, right? It's creating this voluminous effect, but you want to find a good balance. So it really depends. That's why it's good to have a coach to walk you through this, because you don't want to overdo it. But one day or 2 days of eating steak before is not going to kill you. So that's what I did. And the reason why I did sugar-free jelly is, one, I'm not doing sodium at this point. I'm not eating tons of sodium. You know, again, if I'm trying to water deplete, you don't want to have lots of sodium. So the jelly kind of helped me get the food down. It brought some flavor. Sugar-free jelly has 0 sodium and trivial amount of calories. So that's what I do. And I put that on my rice cakes too, my sodium-free, my salt-free rice cakes. And all while I'm doing this, I'm also been taking water pills. Typically, I go with, I believe MHP, Muscle Human Performance, has a diuretic. They have a water pill that's really, very strong. Really, it's an herbal water pill, and it's really strong. This one I just found on GNC. It was okay. I don't know if it worked the greatest. I know MHP works really well. So another thing, lesson learned, is I got to make sure I give myself enough time to go to a vitamin shop or a GNC that actually has MHP and get myself the water pill that I want. So after I had my steak and rice cakes in the morning on Friday morning, we did another layer of protein, and then we went shopping. So we splurged a little bit. I got some nice clothing. Me and Nicole went to Lululemon. Is that how you say it? Yeah, Lululemon. And I actually was at first a little like poo-pooing. I was like, oh, this looks very basic. But the way it fits on you, it honestly looks great. I wore it the last couple of days for Father's Day. You know, recording this post Father's Day this past weekend. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I love the shirts. We also went to J. Crew. I'm an old man at heart. You know, even though I'm 29, I really like the old classic look, old clothing, old school look. So I love color. I love nicely fitted shorts. Basically the bougie frou-frou look, right? So I got a bunch of clothing from there. I got myself an espresso at a coffee shop, double shot of espresso. And the reason why is because, again, I'm water depleting, so I didn't want to have a lot of liquid. And it was really fun. It was honestly a great time. Even though during the time I was trying just to survive, because of, again, I'm just starting to reintroduce carbs, so I'm still feeling the effects of hunger from being low carb for so long. Now I'm feeling the effects of the water because this is day 2 of depleting water. So I'm walking around town, tanned up. I got my sunglasses on because I don't want people to see how dead I look in the eyes. And I'm walking around these town, and I'm wondering who thinks like I wanted this tan. Like I'm thinking to myself, like who's wondering, why does this guy look like an Oompa Loompa? Because like we put so much protein on that I was like, I felt self-conscious because I was walking around town, going to the shopping, and, you know, getting clothing and not even putting it on, expensive clothing and not even putting it on. And they're like, who's this joker? And, you know, I'm sure I was getting in my own head. Some people like thought I looked good. I was like, you're kidding me, right? Like I look so, it doesn't look natural, right? You know, it didn't look natural on me. So after all this moving around for a little bit in Chattanooga, we went back to the Airbnb. I had a few more meals. So again, more rice cakes, more steak and jelly-free, or just sugar-free jelly-free jelly. And then we went to check-ins at 5 p.m. And there was, I'm not gonna get into it a little bit, but too much because I don't want to dawn on it, but like there is some discrepancies, some problems with check-ins, not on Chattanooga's part. NPC Tennessee did a great job, but they didn't have me in the list. And I guess that was just my fault. I was a do, and I guess when I was signing myself up, I got my NPC card, but I didn't specifically actually sign up for the Chattanooga Battle of the River. So my name wasn't there, so I had to sign up as a walk-in, which is fine. But it just annoyed me because at this point I was like, I thought I wasn't gonna be able to walk on, because sometimes I don't know if this happens, but I don't know if some places don't let you walk in. I don't know if some places don't let you do a walk-on because they have too many competitors. I imagine that would be the case if there was a really popular competition. But anyways, after the check-in, I got my free goodies. I got my pre-workouts. They gave you free bundles of whey protein powder. I got some t-shirts. And I got my number, which I can't remember what it was. I think it was 334. We went and got burgers. So we went to this place called Pickle Barrel. For those of you that are wondering why burgers right before a show, the night before a show, the reason why is, and this is pretty common amongst most competitors, the combination of burger and, you know, grease and cheese and the bun and the fries or sweet potato fries, it's all very slow digesting. So when you eat these types of foods, it'll be in your system for a good 12 hours. And that's about how long you want it to be in your belly, digesting, so that it'll be filling out your muscles. You'll be looking good on stage. Again, all this is just for manipulating how you're going to look on stage. So that's the reason why. Again, no water. So that's what I had. I got, I think, a burger with like lemon crusted gorgonzola or blue cheese. I guess it's the same thing. Gorgonzola and blue cheese are, I'm pretty sure, the same thing. With chipotle mayo and sweet potato fries. I had a pickle, and I had Nicole's pickle. It was actually, technically, I had one full pickle because they give you a slice. They slice the pickle in half. As like a fry, like a pickle fry, and it was really good. I definitely would recommend it. So Pickle Barrel in Chattanooga, very good, but it was a really good establishment. I wouldn't particularly recommend it if you get offended really easily, because they're a little bit more left-leaning. I know a lot of people that follow me, a lot of people that watch my videos, you're Christian, you're patriots and you're Christian, so they're a little bit left-leaning, and I heard a lot of the servers cursing like a storm, like just like fragrantly, just consistently. And normally I don't care, but it was a lot, and I'm not offended by it, but it was just like, it was, to me, it's not very appropriate way of behaving for a restaurant, even if it's a burger joint, you know. But like, at least, like, yes, the patrons, the customers are going to probably do and say whatever they want, but if you're someone serving in the food industry, you should be trying to be polite, even in a burger joint. So, and they were polite to us, but again, like I said, they were just crude, more crude than I was expecting. But yeah, so after the Pickle Barrel place, which again I recommend, good American comfort food, we went back to the Airbnb, and I put on another coat of Protan, which I again just, I wish I didn't do that, because that was the layer I didn't need. It was the layer the night of before the show, and I think that was what put me over, and it made me look too orange. So, you know, lesson learned. So the morning of the show, I had my rice cakes. We went to the pre-meeting, which is basically every show there's a pre-meeting the morning of, and they just talk to you about how the schedule's going to look like, how they're going to run things, who's going to go first. They be polite to showcase your physique, but don't be rude. All that jazz, right? So they talked about the show. Once the show began, me and Nicole got all of our stuff. We brought our cooler backstage. I had my cooler full of my assortment of carbs and different types of food. So now at this point, I'm not concerned about like sodium, but I'm not trying to purposely add sodium into my diet. You know, I got plenty of that from the burger the night before, and the sushi and all that stuff. So I'm not trying to add sodium, but I'm not worried about sodium. So now I'm having regular rice cakes. I had caramel rice cakes, chocolate rice cakes, apple cinnamon rice cakes, and I had cheddar rice cakes, all things, and I kind of just flip-flop between the four of those. The next thing I also had is fudge rounds, which I never actually had a fudge round before up until the show, but I was looking at the macros behind it, and it had a good blend of fats and carbs. And the reason why you want fudge rounds is because you want to have something like an hour before the show, right before you step on stage, something that's going to hit you right when you're on the stage. The rice cakes, you're just basically slowly eating that, and you're carb loading. And it's like a good happy medium. Glycemically, most rice cakes, if it's like made with brown rice and it's not super processed, it's not pure white flour, then it'll be decently like medium chain, medium slow absorption. The fudge rounds is about the same, but a little bit faster because it has more sugar prevalent. And then the last thing I had was Sour Patches. So you want to have something an hour before you step on stage, and you want to have like something like a couple minutes stepping on stage. So for me, that was Sour Patches. Some people might do like soda. They'll sip like a little bit of soda before they step on stage. Some people will do just pure jelly or honey on their rice cakes, which are all great things to have because it's going to speed up the absorption rate. It's going to be ready for you right once you step on stage. Sugar, things are like that, like like jelly, Sour Patch Kids, all of it's like basically, it's essentially almost pure sugar. So it gets into your system really quickly. And when you want to have that, again, like about 5 to 10 minutes before you step on stage, so that when you're pumping up, all that's being used is being readily available for your muscles to get bigger, to look more full once you're on stage. So that's the reason why you have that. And that's why it's good to have a coach, because all this timing stuff, you got to time everything really perfectly, really well. And if you go overboard with how much you're eating, if you have the Sour Patches too early, that could be a way for you to spill over technically. If you have like a crap ton of Sour Patches like an hour or two before These are things you don't want to do because you want to utilize your food to the best of your advantage. Meal timing, obviously, as you can tell, is a very big thing. And like I said, like this is something that all these things that we had to think about when you're this calorie deprived and you're water deprived, and you're tired and you're at the tail end of your prep for a bodybuilding show. You may not make the wisest decisions. So you have to be still mentally coherent. You have to be still functionable, still be able to think wisely. And that's why some people opt out to have a coach so they can just be like told what to do. But you know, I think I did a decent job. I got, again, second place in the show, and I got fourth place in the show. I guess I'm going ahead, but I did already tell you guys that in the last video. So for those of you who don't know, I obviously made second and fourth in my classes. So again, coaching yourself through a prep is hard and not an easy task. But let's talk about the show itself. The show was awesome, guys. I really enjoyed the show, the way the layout of the show. The only critique I had is I wish there was a little more booths. When the last two shows I went to, they had booths everywhere. They had different types of supplement companies there. They had different people that were just trying to, you know, showcase their business. Hey there, baby boys. You want to say hello? Hey, bubbies. But that's really the only critique. There's one, but the things that I really enjoyed. So what I was going to say is that one thing I really enjoyed about the actual like way that they ran the show is that right before we started the show and everyone was lining up to watch us, those that are there for the morning show. That's right. So actually, my apologies, guys. So I'm talking about the morning, like the prejudging. Prejudging went really well, but this is just like a speed run. They're getting an idea of who's going to be winning the show later, who's the first, second, and third, and fourth. So for bodybuilders, the prejudging is super important because this is the first time they're seeing your physique. And oftentimes, the prejudging is where the judges will make their choices then, and then it's literally just a show at the nighttime, and then that's when people will present their packages, they'll present their posing routines. But prejudging, I would say, is arguably more important, at least for people that don't have posing routines, because if that's all that you're showing, you're just showing your physique and that's it. And they're basing their notes off of the prejudging. So the prejudging went really well and it was enjoyable, but I didn't get to see the posing routines. What I really want to talk to you guys about is the actual night show, where they have the music going, they have the lights more laser focus. It's more entertaining, and then the posing routine is what I look forward to. So something that was different about this show than any other show that I've done in the past is that they actually had a monitor, like a projector for us that backstage to watch the posing routines, whereas in other shows you had to go out in the crowd and watch the actual poses. The posing routine from the front, but you know, if you didn't get your seats prior to, then you just won't have a good view. But for us in backstage, we had this giant projector screen that we could see everything. I had my seat, Nicole had her seat, and we were just watching it. And it was so fun. The people that showed up, they really put their heart and soul into their posing routines, and it was really, really cool. Even for those that didn't have, per se, the best packages, they still showed up with a really immaculate posing routine, and it was something to really, truly be inspired by, to admire. And it elicited emotion. Like, I actually felt inspired by a lot of it, you know, both guys and gals. So that was really cool. And another thing I really want to talk about, and I'm skipping around, so I apologize, but one thing that they did that set them apart from any other show I've been to is that they opened up with the national anthem, which us, the backstage, we weren't aware that they were going to do this. So like, it was funny that like once we all started recognizing it, we all started slowly getting up, because some of us recognized sooner than others, and it was really cool. It was really patriotic. Once you saw that everyone was recognizing, everyone was so slowly rising up and slowly putting their hands on their heart, above their heart, in front of their heart, and it was just beautiful. And you know, that almost made me cry, because it was like, I feel like in this day and age, we rarely ever show respect towards our country and the beautiful country that we live in. And then after that, what even surprised me more is that we opened up in prayer. And that was where Nicole started crying, and I started tearing up too. I was like, they're opened up in prayer, like they're honoring God in this. And you know, like, that's not something that happens in bodybuilding shows often, especially, you know, where bodybuilding shows are seen to be very vain events. Like, it was cool that they're pointing the glory back to God, and it was so cool. Like, that sealed the deal for me. Like, I was like, Nicole, we're going to come back to this show in the future. So, and that, and plus like there's just the people that it attracted, it brought really great people, I thought. So yeah, it was just really, really cool. So that was the night show. And I got up on the stage, and I presented my physique the best that I could, but you know, it's just hard. I'm not going to give myself excuses because I made the choice to compete in non-drug tested competitions. But you know, for example, there was a guy there that was, I think, 22 years old or 23 years old. I'm 29. He just started working out 3 years ago, and he beat me in the class in the novice class C. And it was just me and two other guys. It was me, him, and another guy. And the other guy was a kid. So, you know, it would have been a bust if I didn't win against the kid, because the kid barely had any muscle on him, and he was really new. He made it very clear it was his first show. But the other guy that beat me, though, again, only 23 years old, bigger than me, and only been working out for 3 years. And you know, I'll be happy to chalk it up to genetics, but I know he was talking about running gear and stuff in the back of stage. So, you know, I really think that guy I actually had a chance against because of, you know, he wasn't running gear for all that long. But his body hyper responded, and he presented a great physique, and his posing was better than mine. And I truly think if I just posed a little bit better, I really could have gotten first place in that show. But anywho, you know, lesson learned, I have to put more emphasis for posing, especially for men's physique. When it comes to men's physique, I always think that posing is kind of silly, because I'm like, oh, why do you need to practice posing? It's a front pose, it's a transition to a back pose, and then back to a transition back to a front pose. That's it. But there's a lot of beautiful things that you can do in the transitions to your front, to your back, and back to your front, that you can do that can make yourself look more appealing to the judges. And he showed up with that appeal, and I didn't. So he won. The next class, super stacked. It was open class D, so people 5'11" and above were in this class, and these guys were huge. And of course, everyone was using, except I believe me. Yeah, there was 5 people. I got 4th. I beat an older gentleman that was in his like later 30s or early 40s, and the guys that won, they were in their late. The first guy that won, he was in his mid-30s, and he had an immaculate physique. Nothing to say about his physique. It was awesome. Truly, really well balanced. Very big. I think he had probably like at least 10 plus pounds on me. The second place winner was actually younger than me. I don't know if he was on stuff. It's questionable, but like Nicole stalked his page, and she was like, he wasn't lean 2 months ago, and he looks lean than you and bigger than you in 2 months. So, I mean, you never know with these drugs, these competitions that are not drug tested. But again, what really set him apart from me was that his posing was better than mine. So again, another lesson learned, I need to pose better. And the guy that made 3rd, it was really close between 3 and 2. I think I could have gotten 3rd place. I definitely knew I was not going to beat the top 2 guys. And I think the only reason why the number 2 guy that was younger than me beat the number 3 guy is because he showed up with better posing than the number 3 guy. Great package, but I think the kid just showed up with better posing. So yeah, I mean, like I said, like lesson learned for me. Most people that go to these types of shows that are non-drug tested, I would say 95% or if not more are using drugs. I just like to do these shows because I really think I'm close enough. So after the pre-judging, I know I'm jumping around. So after pre-judging, we got more burgers. We chilled out for a little bit, and then we went back to the night show. I talked to you guys about the projector screen. It was awesome. They also, I don't think I mentioned this before, but we're closing up here. So if you guys are getting bored, we're almost done. What I didn't mention was there was actually a couple booths there. I know one of my critiques was that I wanted there to be more booths for like supplements, for t-shirts, for different companies, so that we can get our goodies. Because one thing that you look forward to for a bodybuilding show is that you get a lot of free goodies, and there wasn't a whole lot. There was some, but one thing that was different from other shows is that they actually had a liquor bar. So they had a bar for chips, for snacks, for water, but also for liquor and for beer. And I thought that was interesting. So I mean, obviously, after a show, my biggest craving isn't alcohol. It's food. So let's talk about the food. I had plans to go to a sushi restaurant, and all you can eat, which I heard had really good reviews. It was in Chattanooga. It was called Sushi City. They were closing up soon, and I prioritized getting my critiques, my feedback from the judges, over going to that all you can eat. So it was already 20 minutes away, and if I wanted to get my critiques done in person, I had to wait for the show to be over. So I had to wait for all the bikini gals to be done, which is a very long very long class because there's a lot of girls that do bikini. So I waited and unfortunately did not get my fill of sushi. But they said to me, the head judge said to me that I have a really good physique. The only thing I need to really work on is I need to work on more upper chest, which I knew about. I was working on that for 2 years before the show. So obviously still need more. So what I've been doing is just putting a lot more emphasis on upper chest, just putting almost all emphasis on upper chest. And you know, I know that by working my upper chest, if you guys don't know this, if you still work your overall chest by biasing the upper chest more. And if you already have a developed lower chest, you don't have to worry about that getting smaller on you, because as long as you're working your chest, it's going to maintain its size. It's just the matter of growing the specific areas that you're weaker in that you have to put more attention to. So it's better to put more attention on that than to have to try to hit everything all at once, because you're just wasting your time. Focus on what your weaknesses are. Your strengths will fill in the gaps. So he said upper chest, and he just said overall just a little bit more size. So that's something I've always done about doing these shows, is that I'm always going to look like the smaller guy on stage, because I'm not taking anything, right? So after that was done, we went to get some food. We decided on pizza. We went to Community Pie. I'll say it again if you didn't hear me. Community Pie. Really, really good place. Authentic Italian recipes. I got myself a New York style 19-inch pie all to myself. It had their homemade meatballs. It had spicy marinara sauce, spicy peppers, so like the horn peppers. They took out all the seeds so it wouldn't be too spicy. That was coated all over the pie with mushrooms and olives. So good. I think we have a picture. If not, Nicole will probably throw it up here. Me taking a bite, and there's a video of me also taking my first bite. So good. I had the whole thing to myself. Super bloated afterwards, but totally worth it. But yeah, after that, we went home, we watched some shows. I showered as much as possible, and I used some exfoliant to get rid of as much of the tan as possible. But we enjoyed ourselves. I knocked out. I slept like a baby. We woke up around 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, and we had some crepes. We made our way back to our town back in the Smoky Mountains. And after that, we got some energy drinks. We got another case of energy drinks from the Vitamin Shop. And that's it, guys. I think you learned something. I pray that you learned something from this, that you got value out of this. For those for those of you that are trying to get into competing, or you're thinking about competing, do it. It's great for the body, great for the mind. And to a degree, if you allow yourself to let the Lord work through you in these type of things, where you can because you're letting your body physically be disciplined. In that physical disciplining, you can also become spiritually disciplined, because you're going to want to lash out, you're going to get emotional, and you have to tie yourself back into the Lord. Otherwise you will get frustrated, angry, annoyed, and it can be a bad thing. But if you can turn that and shift that perspective and give it to the Lord, it could be a really great experience for anyone, really. And it really pushes you to be a whole better person, a more disciplined person, a stronger person, both mentally and physically. And you look better at the end of it. You're able to get to levels of fitness that you typically wouldn't get to, or you wouldn't do to yourself in the first place, unless you did a show and people were watching you. So like I said, I learned a lot from this show. I'm going to do another show probably 2 to 3 months from now. I'm thinking about October or September, end of September, and I'm going to try to get I'm going to try to get nationally qualified again, and then go for my pro card. So that's it, man. That's it, guys. Stay tuned for the next video. God bless. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.